do that. Okay. I didn't realize.
Okay, so we're on the camera and ready to start. And on this snowy day, we have one of our favorites, who is always informative, which is Miss Cindy Haglund. And she is going to talk to you today about marketing and social media. And anything else that you want to ask her. She's been here enough times now that you might just want to ask her something besides what she's scheduled to speak about today, and she doesn't mind that at all.
Do you know what the weather forecast is, ma'am?
The weather forecast, yes, it's going to snow today.
Cindy has
Snow is predicted. Yeah, I do know that. Thank you guys for coming out on this ugly, ugly, snowy day. We've got a couple more people signing in, so we'll let them sit down. If you have your computer with you and you want to follow along and do some things while we're talking, that's absolutely fine. Because you should have a little, I like to call these cheat sheets, and you should, if you currently run a Facebook page, you should be able to go in there and make any changes or update simple things while we're talking. Nothing real complicated. I mean, don't go ahead and write your about page or anything right now. But welcome. How many people here are currently managing a business Facebook page? Raise your hand. Okay, so keep them up, keep them up. At the door, are you guys running a Facebook page now? Yes, sir?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so who is, there's more than not, so we've got 1, 2 that are not, right? Okay, okay. How many people are running more than one Facebook page? Aha. Okay. Then all 4 of you could come up here and teach this class.
No, okay.
Well, what you can do, and maybe even some of you who might have one, is as we're going along, you know, if you see something that you've experienced or something to add to it, I am never offended by that. So unless you call me a name and you do it, but if you just, you know, have something to add, I think it's great, and because there's a lot of things out there and the things are changing constantly. So chime in if you see something that, as we're going along, that you've done or haven't done that could be helpful. Maybe you've heard somebody talk about something. That's the other thing that's really helpful. A lot of people who own businesses are friends with other business owners. And you guys talk, and you should talk, and you should say what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And even if you don't have the same type of business, it can be helpful to learn from them. Also, not only learn what they do right, but a lot of times what mistakes people have made are very helpful as well. So I think we've got a pretty full house today. This is great. Great. Thank you all again for coming. You guys get, like, I wish I had prizes for everybody, like for like a little snowman or something, you know, for everybody. Okay, everybody got your little cheat sheets? Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about this, how you set it up, just really briefly, because most people already have one set up. But if you don't already know this, when you decide you want to start a business page, whether it's your own business or you work for someone else, you have to run it through your personal page. And a lot of people that's one of the things that I get questions on that a lot, is like, how do I do this? And when I tell them they have to go into their personal page and do it, people are like, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. But that's just the way Facebook has it set up. And it's actually what happens is you manage it through your personal page, but when you post and like and do things, you don't come up as that person unless you choose to, because you can drop it down. You would be posting as the business. But people get very confused about that. Are there any questions on that, or any? Everybody already understands that. Awesome. Okay. So what you do is you're on your personal page and you say, I want to create a page, and you just go simply to create a page. It's that simple. Now, let's talk about this for a second. This is something I see all the time too, is that people set up a business page as a personal page. They don't do what I just did, because it's actually more steps to set up a business page versus a personal page. But if you just set up a page as a business from a personal site, first of all, if Facebook finds it, they'll shut you down. That's just not allowed with them. The other thing is you're missing out on all the analytics and all the opportunities to run an actual business. So Facebook kind of hands you a free account and says, you're a business? Oh, then you need this, this, and this, or you might need this, and you might want to sell products through this. And but when you do it through a personal page, you don't get any of those opportunities. So there's huge advantages. But why we're having this class today is because a lot of people don't set them up correctly. They'll set them up as a personal page. Big no-no, big no-no. And the other thing that they do is they don't complete the different sections. They just do the minimum. So you're missing out, again, on opportunities for search engine optimization and for people to find your page and to talk about business and promote it. So you have to go through these steps, even though it can be a little bit of a pain. I've got notifications turned on here. Sorry. Okay, so what you do, well, let's talk about this first part, and we've already talked about it. Business a Facebook page. Okay, your customers are already there. You know how many users are on Facebook. I don't know the exact number today, but it's a lot, and they're already out there. They're on. Now all of us older people have kind of moved in, and the younger people have moved on, and so your audience is there. It's also free to have an account. So if you want to set up a website, it's going to cost you money, right? And even maintaining it. With Facebook, they don't charge you that. You can easily promote anything within your business online to your audience. So that you can set up posts ahead of time. You can do updates. Bless you. And easy to set up. We're going to talk about that. And you gain customers through search engine optimization and through people referring and through likes and comments and shares, which is what you want for your page. And it's and then easily to inform. So if you've got a sale going on and you actually run a boutique and you've got things to sell, this is a great market to do it. This week we're having a snow sale. We're gonna get rid of all of our winter clothing this week, and it's gonna be 40% off. So come in and one of the things I like to tell people to do, especially people who sell products, is if you run a special like that, tell people, mention this like say, mention this code at the register for a percentage off. And then as you as the business owner track that code and see how many people actually came in. So you could say, but the code could be snow March or something like that, whatever you make up. You'd be surprised at how many people will come in and say, oh, I know there was a code. Even if they don't remember it, they'll pull it up on their Facebook and go, and then you as a business owner, it's your responsibility to track that, because you can see how many sales you got from something like that just from that simple post. So it's, there's also a way that you can, ask people to share and certain things, and you can actually put them in for drawings and things like that. And a lot of people do that, and a lot of big companies do that too, and I've done it myself with businesses. But Facebook does like you, if you are going to run some type of promotion or some type of fun giveaway, to actually run it through their system if possible. And they have a whole thing that if you want to set up something like that you can do it through. So that's a whole other rabbit hole to go down. But if you're ever interested in that, I can help you with that. So here we go. We're going to create a page, but we're not going to actually physically do it. So you have to choose who you are. So are you a local business? Are you a company, organization, institution? Are you a brand or a product? Public figure, band, or artist? entertainment, or cause or community. So cause or community would probably be more like nonprofit. And so you have to put yourself in a different category. Depending upon what category you choose, then you've got a whole bunch of list of questions to kind of go through. So say, for instance, just for giggles, we're going to do this one. So I clicked on the local business. So it's going to ask you immediately to put your street address and phone number and information like that. So if you are a brick and mortar business, absolutely put your address in there, your zip code, and your phone number so people can call you. If you run a business from your home, you may not want, I would not advise you to put your address in there. You know, you know, you could put your phone number because people could get in touch with you that way if you choose. But if you, you know, definitely if you're a brick and mortar business, this is how you get started. So once you put in that information, you go through, you know, we would click get started, and there'll be some more questions that you have to go through and answer on this. Anybody have any questions on that? It doesn't take very long, but it's important to do it. So now,
Can you change that once it's set?
yes. Would change? You mean like if you were at one point were doing it out of your home and then you got a location? Yeah, you could go in and change it. And you should. That's another thing. Thank you for bringing that up, because this is something that I see all the time. Someone will start a Facebook page and not update their information or not update their phone number, and it changes. And you go to their Facebook page and you're trying to get a hold of them for some reason or find their business. I had this happen recently where I was going to a salon in Kingsport. They changed locations and they didn't update it on Facebook. And I knew she had changed locations because she had all this stuff on Facebook that she was moving and blah, blah, blah. And when I went for my appointment, I was like, that morning, I was like, oh, I need to find out where she's at, where her address is. She had not updated her address on Facebook. So I had to message her and say, what is your address? You haven't updated on Facebook. And she was like, oh my goodness, I didn't even think to do that, because she was so busy with moving in. But these are the type of steps that are so important. And when you're a business owner and you're running something by yourself, it's hard to think of all those things, isn't it? Especially if you're moving a business or doing something. So these are the kind of things that, you know, always try to think marketing, you know, in the background of everything, or in the forefront probably. And if you realize that you can't do it yourself, maybe you need to bring somebody in to help out with that. There's all kinds of people out there that can help. I do a lot of different Facebook things for different companies, but you know, you can always hire somebody that, you know, kind of a younger person. I'm the older person. But they just know this stuff really well. You just have to make sure it's someone you trust and someone, you know, that they understand your mission. That's the most important thing. And you can approve the posts if you don't, you know, want somebody just going crazy on stuff. But it's always nice to have somebody maybe be thinking, oh, we need to update that. We need to change that. We need to, you know. You have to let your customers know what's going on. If you don't communicate with them, they're going to just drop you, and they're not going to follow you. They're not even probably, like, you know, if I couldn't have found that salon, I would have had to probably start going someplace else, you know, or she might have lost me as a client. So you have to be really careful about that. Okay, so I'm going to go into an account, and I'm going to show you all the fun things. So when you set up, so I pretend I've just set up this account, and of course it's got the pictures and stuff in there, but pretend that's not there right now. So what we're going to do is go into your settings. And then from your settings, this is where you run everything. This is your control center for running your page. And everything on here, you need to at least click on it and look at it and be familiar with what it means, because your settings are extremely important. So, and back to Kyle's question, you can change these things too. So if you have something kind of turned off right now, and then you decide, oh, I want to turn that back on. You know, it's always nice to go in every 6 months or so and kind of look at your settings and make sure they're set to what they still need to be. you may have made a change, something might have happened, and you might want to, you know, I had, for instance, I've turned off reviews for this particular situation because we had a disgruntled employee come on and put a bunch of reviews that that were not appropriate, and the thing with Facebook, if you have reviews on, is you can't delete the reviews or take them off if somebody. The only way to do it is to turn off reviews. I normally don't recommend doing that, but in certain situations, you have to kind of do whatever you know, whatever you have to do. And so when you go through all of this general is your page visibility, your page verification. Let's talk about that for a second. Everybody who runs a page, is your page verified with Facebook? Do you know what that means? Oh, I thought she was going to raise her hand back there. Do you know what that means?
I'm trying to find the equivalent setting on a mobile platform.
Yeah, good luck with that. The mobile platform's a little bit different, but when you go to the page that you run, you should be able to go to settings. I can't tell you where it's at unless somebody else has a...
I found that.
Okay.
That's under the little dots on the side.
And then did you see general?
I see edit settings, and there's a general.
Okay, click on general and hopefully it'll come up. And if anybody else is on mobile, maybe... Tim, you know where it's at? Did you find it?
I did.
Yay. Okay. So, verifying your page. Does anybody... Do you know what that means?
It's kind of like, is that the same as when you get a code, or is that Google?
No, it is. It is.
They want me to call. They want to call the shop.
Yeah. So, this is really common that most people don't have their page verified, and all it is that Facebook actually verifies that you are a legitimate business. Because really, when you think about it, almost anybody could set up a page and claim that they're a business, right? So wouldn't it be better to be verified by Facebook that you are a legit business? So one of the things that that they do is that you put in the phone number for the company. So if you own a shop, you know, they will call you. Now, your phone number has to be registered under that particular business name. That's a little caveat. So it makes it a...
I didn't do that, and I bet I didn't do it because I didn't want to call the shop like at 9 o'clock at night or something when I wouldn't. You see what I mean?
They usually call right away. It's like a robot.
But I wasn't doing it. I was doing it on my own time.
Gotcha. Yeah. And that's a good point. And I've run into issues with it before because I run, those of you who run several Facebook pages for other companies. So before I get anything verified, because I'm usually sitting in a different location, setting up someone's Facebook page, not necessarily in their office. So I have to call someone at the office, a receptionist or somebody, and say, hey, you're going to get a robotic call from Facebook, and they're going to probably give you a code. And write that down, and then email it to me or call me back with it. And so you kind of have to, you know, if you're doing your own page, then you just have to make sure your phone is registered in that business name. So when it is important to do it. You know, it'll be a trust factor with people who want to do business with you that you're verified through Facebook. And I actually ran into a situation with a business one time that I can't remember why we couldn't do it by phone. So we actually did it by mail. There's another old-fashioned snail mail, believe it or not. They actually sent a postcard, and Google will do that too, like Tim said. And they sent it to the company under the address for the company. And then you have to verify stuff, and I think we had to write a few things down and then send it back or call it in or email it in. I can't remember, it's been so long ago. But there are different ways to do it if the phone becomes an issue. But so once you actually do that, let me show you what, do you guys see this little check mark right here next to the name? That is a verification. So if you go on a company page and they have that little check mark next to their name, that means they have been certified basically or verified as a legitimate business. So if there's a way for you to do that, I would encourage you to do that. It can be a little painstaking, and I've had to get creative with some pages, with some different businesses, and if you have a business that you have any questions on, let me know, and maybe we can work out like a plan of action, because it's easy if you're a brick and mortar and you've got this phone number, but it's so different now. You know, people run businesses from home, and there's just a lot of different ways, but I do encourage you to do that. Yeah.
Now, if you do this, will it make, if your page has been verified and there's some other pages out there with the same name, will this bring this to the top in the search? It's been verified?
I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know if it has anything to do with that. But does anybody know the answer to that? Tim?
I thought Google went by content.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
was thinking. Google's more like that.
I think Google's more like activity content.
No, I'm asking about on Facebook.
Yeah, but if you're going for search, am I looking on Facebook? Or
Yeah, if you're on Facebook
Okay.
and you're searching at the top of Facebook and,
That-
okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't answer
Okay, that's
that. I wouldn't want to answer it wrong, but I would guess it probably not, but I also wouldn't want to, that's a good point. I mean, I would try to have a business that has maybe a little bit different name, which it sounds like, you know, it's not always possible. A lot of times you've had a business longer than Facebook and you go to put it in, but you can always search and see if there's other businesses out there with that name.
Would it tell you that there's already one by that name?
When you're setting up,
Yeah.
no, because it does allow that, because there might be, you know, a flower shop named The Flower Shop, you know, and I see a hand back there.
There's
Yes.
a website that I find really cool that helps find out if sites are already taken or not, and it's name check and then the letter R, so it's name check R, and it will tell you every social media you put in the site, the name you think you'd like, and it puts check marks if it's available or X's if it's not available, and you can click.
So it searches all the social media sites?
Every social media out there is. It's called name check and then the letter R.
Okay. So if you're starting a business, that would be a good thing to do, to have a unique name if possible. But if you already have a business and it has a name, you know, that's.
You might want to customize the URL.
You
for
can
your-
definitely
for your
customize the
Facebook
URL.
page.
Yeah, and you can do a few things to tweak it and stuff too. So I'm not going to go through every single step down here, but there are some things that, you know, as you go through, and I'm looking at this side over here, so we're in general again, and then we're going through this list down here on how you can edit things. So like when you want to, you just click over here, and it says, okay, my page is verified on here. You can choose who can publish on your timeline. If you run a business, you may want to be careful about who posts on your timeline. And if you're trying to convince a company that you want a Facebook page, don't let people, you know, only have yourself right on the timeline. So that's, and this could be changed too, like we talked about. So on this particular page, we don't allow people to post on the page. It's just managed, you know, they can comment under a post, but they can't post. So
Can you turn those off as well?
I don't think you can turn the comments off. That was gonna be my question too, but I searched high and low.
I know you can in a group once you've posted something. Let's look on here and
You
see.
can also
delete
block
it.
users of can't you?
Yes, I have that on here too. So if you have a particular issue with somebody, like, you know, if I decide I want to block Sandy from my
Shouldn't
page,
do that though.
so like for instance, let me see. Damn, that one doesn't. Yeah, it's if you have a group, which is different from a page, you can actually go right here and turn off commenting.
Where?
Right on the little dots that are right at the top of the post.
Uh-huh.
But that's with a
You said
group.
if you have a group, what do you mean?
Okay. So a group is just a group of people, like-minded people,
Okay,
versus a business.
okay.
And so it's run differently, and
Like
it's,
me and Sandy and Don, Jennifer. I'll say Don.
I don't,
Nita and Tanya.
yes. Well, a group could be like, I actually have a couple of groups that I run. One of them is for home improvement. So all the people in that group are interested in doing home improvement on their own, a DIY group. And so it's all the posts in there are related to that subject. That makes, so if you have a like-minded thing, so your business, so say you had a home improvement business, for instance, and you could actually start a group on home improvement and get people to join the group, and then you could still promote your business within that group. Does that make sense? And you could draw people back to your business page and your website. So it's kind of complicated, but more people will join a group than will like a page. It's because they don't think they're going to be sold to. If that makes sense, even though they could be when you join a group. There's nothing saying that you wouldn't be. But groups are a great way to get information out there too. But we're talking about pages today for your business, and every business. I really have never run into a business that shouldn't have. Anybody run into a business that really shouldn't have a Facebook page? Oh no, I take that back. What did I? Oh, I can't remember. Something to do with the somebody who worked with the government, and it was kind of more of a secret kind of thing. And I was like, oh, okay, you don't have to have one. But does anybody have an example of a business that maybe shouldn't be on Facebook?
Google.
Google's probably on here.
I know, they probably are.
You're saying something like some group like, I don't know, KKK or something.
Well, they probably have a Facebook page.
I know, but I'm just saying that you're talking about.
I'm not talking about.
Controversial. group.
No, I'm not talking
The
about
Secret
controversy.
Service should not be on Facebook.
Yeah,
Ah, okay.
I'm talking about
The Green
Like,
Beret should
if we
probably
want
not
to
be on
justify to the people who run your company that you should have a Facebook page, and it happens. I know you're. Time's gone. Why would anybody? There's at least
That's
one
for the
person
one-
in this room right now who has to justify to people. So that's the kind of thing that makes it really hard if you work for a company that's afraid of social media.
Who doesn't get it, that's right.
Okay, I can tell you a group, somebody.
Yeah.
Judges cannot have a Facebook.
Okay, that's a good example. Yeah, yeah. And they probably shouldn't, because
No.
the bias might come out and things like that, you know, but politicians have Facebook pages all the time, and it's a great opportunity, for the most part, to talk about things and push things out there. So, but I did meet somebody one time, and they weren't a judge, but they worked somehow with the government in a really secret, kind of like Green Beret or whatever, and they were talking about, and I was like, oh yeah, that's probably, you know, not a good idea for you to be out there. So, but with the exception of things like that, everybody else really should consider it, or at least do it. Okay, so.
Can we circle back around to the
Yep.
comments? Can you turn those on or off? Did we decide?
There is a workaround. You have to go into your settings, and then go down to page moderation.
Is that under general?
Yes.
Okay. Page moderation.
And there you've got words that can be blocked on your page.
Oh, yeah.
So you can kind of do it that way, according to what I found as far as a workaround.
That doesn't prevent.
But that's
comments, it just
that's like
prevents certain
profanity.
words.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but if that word is in the comments, will it not be posted?
Right.
Okay, so can you, is there a way to approve a comment before it hits your page?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
under
that's under the
reviews.
page.
That's under reviews,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I need a workaround
It-
for comments in my
But
stuff.
only, but it's,
Yes.
again, it is after you have posted something. I've not been able to find anything that keeps people from commenting. However, you can delete their comments. If you own that page, you
Right.
can delete their comments. But I've not found anything that would prevent you like if you post, I love the VFW, and if I comment, I like it, you can delete that.
Yes.
The owner of the page can delete that, but you can't prevent people, as far as I can tell, from not commenting.
Kyle, did you find something?
Yeah, it's under the visitor posts, on and off.
So you
But
can
there's
just,
also.
Oh, here we go.
You can
Oh,
turn it
yeah.
off so they can't, or you can leave it on, but you review them before they post.
But that's post, that's not
That's
comment.
posts, not comments.
Yeah.
there's no, I don't think there's any way to do it with the comments.
But
I
you
have
can
never
delete
seen it
it.
either, but if anybody knows different or anybody online knows any different,
If you're the page administrator, you can delete anything.
yes.
Yes.
On page moderation, is it got a default set of like swear words and things that if it contains any of those words,
That's
will
where-
it stop the
There's a
comment, or
filter.
will it?
This is where you would put in words that should be blocked.
Will it stop the comment if it contains any of those words, or will it allow the comment, but just filter out those words?
It won't allow them to comment.
You could add keywords you'd like to block. If any of these keywords is used in a post or comment, it will automatically mark as spam, so it wouldn't be posted.
So then you could just put all the most common words in there, at, the, then, if, of, and then everybody's gonna have the word the, or of, or a, or an in their comments somewhere. So just put in all the most common words, and then it won't allow comments.
I have a whole new set of swear words now, right, that we're blocking from my page.
However, keep in mind that all that would be marked as spam if someone tries to, and you would be having to, it could be a lot of work if you get a lot of people liking your page, but that would be a workaround.
Yeah, you just want no comments. You don't
Yeah.
care about
But
comments.
Kathy, look, what Kathy said is that you can always, I actually don't mind comments because 90% of them are for a company or are good or positive. And if somebody comes up with something, you can always delete that comment. And like Kathy said, but you have to monitor it. So, you will have to put, if you have a Facebook page, the app on here, and when all these settings are set up, the information will come up here. For you to approve different things, and it will be a lot of work for you. So yeah. I mean, if you're willing to take it on, and I know that this is something near and dear to you. So, but at
You
first,
can always turn it off or change it if you see that maybe this isn't working out.
yeah. And at first, you're not going to get, it takes a long time to get people to like your page and things like that too. So there's not going to be 10,000 people on there immediately, saying stuff.
I may be getting ahead of you, but isn't there a place where you can let other people in your company either edit your page or be the administrator or whatever?
That's under page roles, and we haven't gotten there yet, but it's right here.
Go ahead. That's okay, you don't have to do it yet.
So this is where you would assign somebody a role with your page. So it's always a good idea to have another person. I always use you get hit by a bus or something, but also, if you want to have a break from it, or you're busy or things like that, there's always somebody, right, to have somebody have a backup.
Well, it says right here, there is no way to block or to disable comments on a Facebook page. There is no official way to do it. But the way that you can do the workaround is doing the blocking the different words.
So people do that?
Yeah, the page moderation.
That's
That's the
interesting.
only way to do it.
That's interesting, yeah.
Or after they post the comment, go in and delete it or hide it. So.
Yeah. That's great. Thank you. Now you got your question answered.
Well, I will be asking later, I'm sure.
You,
They will ask me that later.
she's thinking ahead. Okay. So as you go through these, like I said, be sure that you are familiar. Tagging is another thing that you have to, tagging is a really good way to get your page out there. So if you have a grand opening and you've got pictures from your grand opening and you want to post them on Facebook and you want to tag people on those pictures, it's really nice to do that, but, you know, there's permissions and things like that, you know, that you should find out if they're okay with it. If they are, it's really good to do it because it brings people to your page, especially when your page is new. But you don't have to worry about that. You're not there yet. But you've got your words blocked from the page. You've got profanity filters, so that edits things too. It helps you with all that. Does anybody have theirs? Probably not here. Translated into another language. Okay. Just curious. At the end of the day, if you decide this is too much or you don't want to do it, you just delete your page right here, which is interesting. So you've got messaging features on here too. So messaging features, as you go through it, you have to go through each of the settings and find out, do you want people to message you? I find that it's better to have people private message you. You're shaking your head, so you do too. So if somebody has a question or if they're disgruntled, you know, if they message you, it's private, and it's so much better because then you can handle it and be efficient with it privately without it being on your page. And so I would definitely recommend keeping that on. Anybody have any thoughts different than that? Okay.
I'll just mention, like, the response assistant is really good. It's like a voicemail. Somebody sends you a message at 2 a.m. and you're asleep and can't respond. You can type in an automatic response. It'll pop up, and that way it keeps your response time low, because that's something that people look at as well as your response time.
Yes. What type of business do you have?
I work with Holston Habitat for Community, but I also manage for a school PTA page.
Okay.
A bunch of
Both, yeah, you've got,
different types of things.
yeah, you've got fun parents.
Yeah, but we'll get questions in the middle of the night about people who are interested in housing with us, and, you know, so we have the response assistant that says, you know, we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
Does everybody understand what she's talking about with the response assistant? Okay, good, yeah.
I use it on the VFW page because I get messages all the time, day and night. One, I'm not always paying attention, so it just automatically says,
Yeah.
hey, thanks, you know, I'll get back to you here in a minute. Actually, I think it says something about the guy on there was an artillery guy, so he could hear the bell kind of thing. Then I can just respond to it later.
And you get notified.
Yeah.
I get a message that says somebody, and I just, okay.
Yeah, and that's actually a really good point. Thank you for bringing that up. Here you go with making sure you got the correct template. So if you're not familiar with the templates, when you choose, well, we can hit the edit button and you can see. So there's different templates, and all that is the layout for your page. And you can go in and click the one that you think is best suited and works best for your company. And it's, here you go, more settings on here. It tells you, these are, right here under this home is everything that will be on your home page and how you want to set that up. So these are important to know exactly what's going on with these. Notifications drive me nuts. Okay, so here you go. Remember we were talking about that you run this from your personal page? So I have it set here that whenever I post to this company page, that I post as them, not me. Now, in the post, everybody probably knows this already, but you can actually change it. Let's go to this page and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So I can look at a post, for instance, like this one. And if I want to like or comment, you can drop this down here and make it from yourself if you want. So if I wanted to do that and then make a comment from me, it'll change the logo to me and it'll be a personal comment from me. But it defaults otherwise to the company page, which is what you want. It used to not do that, and you used to have to jump back and forth between the roles back in like 2007 when I first started doing pages, and I can't tell you how many times I would post by accident to the page as myself, and then I'd go, oh no, and then I'd have to go in now you just have that thing set. So it's one less thing to worry about, honestly. Let's face it, when you're doing this, you want to do it right, and you don't want to have all these things to worry about. So always keep that to the page. And you can do anything here with turn on, turn off. When someone checks into the page, I have things like comments turned on, so that if someone comments, I can look at the comment immediately. Even if it's on my phone, I can find out if someone comments on it. So these are the kind of things that you just have to kind of have all that information is nice to have. And I've got text messaging turned on down here too for this particular page, which I always encourage people to do that. You'll get it a lot faster if you have the text messaging turned on. Here's a little bit more about your messenger platform and all of your general settings with that. You have to go in and you can put videos. Tim, how many videos do you do on your page?
On my Facebook page, I've probably got about 700.
700. Anybody else have 700? Yeah, that's a lot. But that's what he does. And so that's the best way for him to advertise what he does, is to have all his videos on there. Here's your page roles. We talked about that really quick. This is really easy. Now, in order to assign a page role, you actually have to be friends with that person on Facebook first. So that's something I've had a lot of people contact me. I'm getting some faces from the audience on that one. But I've had people contact me and say, I'm trying to assign this role to someone, but it won't do it. And I'm like, well, you have to be friends with them. And that's not always something somebody wants to do, but it is the way it is. Then you can click whether you want them to be an editor or an admin, what their role exactly is. And so anyway, that's what you do there. So this is when people like your business page. This is the page that you can go in there and look and see who actually has liked it and the date that they liked it. See? So this I think it was Sandy talked about that you can actually go in and remove or block people from that. So if you did have a disgruntled employee, or you had, I've actually had some questionable people that maybe looked like terrorists, let's just say. But you can actually go in and remove them, ban them from the page. And you just click on them and then click over there and you can ban them from the page. And it removes everything and they can't see the page anymore. So even if they search for that page or they're stalking the company or something, it doesn't even come up in their searches. So that's real important to know, because if you do have a stalker, things do happen. I mean, this is the world we live in, unfortunately. We can't just shut down and not be active in doing things because of a few people out there, but we just have to learn how to protect ourselves against it. Does anybody have any questions on that? Has anybody had to do that before?
Yes.
Yeah, I've had to do it too several times. So you too, Tanya? Huh? Oh, you blocked her. Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see why.
Everybody get Tanya.
Yeah. Let's pick on Tanya Day. But anyway, it's good to know that you can do that. And I think that with companies that have an apprehension for allowing you to maybe be involved with social media, I think maybe that would give them a little ease, because if they did have a disgruntled employee or it happens, let's face it. And some people immediately think, I'm going to go on social media and I'm going to do this, this, and this. Not everybody thinks that way, but there are people who do. But this is how you can help prevent it. Just be prepared and know how to protect yourself. Bless you. Okay, so as you go through these and you're familiar with them, you can also connect with Instagram. So if you decide your company wants to be on Instagram too, anybody run Instagram through here?
How do you do that?
You just log into your Instagram from here. So there's several people in here who do that also. So when you let me ask you a question. Do you manage the feed where only some things are put to Instagram, or do you have everything go to Instagram?
Some things.
Just some things, okay. That's probably the best scenario. Because I find it when everything goes, that your followers kind of get a little bit lost, because if they're following you on both platforms, they get a little bit like, this is redundant, I've seen this before, you know.
How do you pick and choose what does, what doesn't?
How do you pick and choose?
Well, I have a couple other people that help me manage our page, and the other person does it through here, but she takes the lead for Instagram. And I take the
Oh.
lead on the Facebook.
Okay.
So we're set up to do it, but we just come to decide.
That's a
what
great
our role is.
scenario, actually. That's a great scenario that you've got help with that. And then you still have each other.
We still have each other, so if I get hit by a bus or I'm out sick, she can still, you know, post the stuff to
yeah.
Facebook and do that if we need to. If it's not already scheduled, we can get stuff in, but,
So
So-
at the same time, you might be posting completely different things as well.
could be.
Okay, so to answer your question though, it's hard to determine, especially because Instagram is all pictures. You can put a little bit of words, you know, but most people are there for pictures. So if you've got a picture that speaks very loudly, then that's definitely going to be on Instagram.
And we try to make, Instagram is just what we're doing right now. If we're having a special event and we're there, we snap a picture of the people at the special, you know, event, and we'll shoot that over to the Instagram. But, you know, our generic posts that we do about, hey, come volunteer with Habitat, or come,
Mm-hmm.
you know, want to own a home with Habitat, those things that are more static, we just keep those on the Facebook side.
It's funny that you said more static, because I always now we always think of websites as being static, but it's true. I mean, Instagram is probably more, but I have trouble with Instagram now because and Facebook as well, and LinkedIn, because I'm not seeing all the feeds anymore. You know, you're seeing a lot of the same stuff, and it's kind of like, really? You know, so you're having to go in and clean all that up. But Instagram's really bad. It's like stuck, and I only see like 5 people. But hopefully they'll get all that cleaned up. But if you want to connect the two, go ahead and do it. And if you want to put the same information, that's fine. You might have different followers, but I know when you read about it a little bit more in detail, or read some marketing things in it, they say to try to be a little bit different. So if you can think Instagram being very, very much about pictures, when someone looks at that picture, it should speak to them, and it shouldn't really have to have any words technically. If you can kind of think that way. But everything you do is probably pictures.
Video.
Yeah.
I do mine the other way. I share what's on Instagram to the Facebook, and I don't do all of it.
You select.
I do a lot more sillier stuff on Instagram than
Oh.
I post to Facebook.
Because the silly people are on Instagram.
Yeah, because it's for the VFW stuff, and not everything should go to their Facebook, because Instagram crowd is a lot smaller.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think Instagram's more fun.
Yeah.
Personally.
Because it's pictures, and who doesn't like to see a bunch of pictures when you're scrolling through?
We do that with our children and our youth. I run a church Facebook, but that's what we do with our children and our youth when they're out on their activities and their events. We take pictures with our Instagram and we can link them to our church Facebook page.
Gotcha. Okay. So you have a separate page for just the youth then? It's not a church Instagram?
No, yeah. Actually, what it is our youth ministers. It's his Instagram, and we use it to share.
Okay.
With our Facebook. Our church.
Okay, good. So you're using it creatively then?
Yeah.
Anybody else have an example of how they might use Facebook and Instagram differently? Okay, good. Anybody here run a store where you would take payments? Do you have that feature set up? How's it work for you?
It's doing better. I just had my website added the online store to
Oh, good.
That's been better
Okay.
since I did that.
You mean better, like getting more engagement on it?
Yes.
Okay. So do you, from what I understand, they only, PayPal,
Yes.
anybody, do you do much Stripe? Do you do Stripe at all?
Use Stripe at church. I'm also the church secretary and.
Everybody
so-
has dual roles here. It's awesome.
Yeah, I've got but we have, online giving, so of course we have those options to use.
I love it. Okay, that's good. That's really good information. So if you do have a store or you want to be able to take payments for something, so maybe you don't have a store, but maybe you do something and it's a one-time opportunity that you're going to sell T-shirts for something, for instance. You know, you could actually sell those T-shirts through your Facebook page and set up a payment that people could actually go on there and do it. And it takes you into a whole other world about, you know, approving the payment system and so forth. But the people who I talk to who use it are pretty happy with it. And I really haven't heard anybody, I mean, you said better, but you didn't mean like that the platform was lacking, or was it at one point?
No.
Okay. You just mean that you're getting more
Since I linked it with my actual website, where I sell my books, added that online store link to my page, and
you got it in a couple different places then.
yes.
Gotcha. Okay, good. Good. Okay, good. So this is, you know, be familiar with all this stuff. That's all I can tell you for the most part. And we're going to go into some of the other settings in here real quick. So when you, your inbox, I'm not going to click on the inbox because there's stuff in this inbox, but your inbox is when people message you, and that's all your information that's private in there. So you can look at it, and it'll be a little notification if somebody does that for you. Your notifications are when someone likes something on your page or comments or something like that. So you can actually go through this and look and see kind of how, okay, well that's doing okay. And while we're on this section, you can see this thing where it says invite your friends to like your page. So if you're friends with somebody on Facebook and you start your new business page, you can actually start typing their name in there and it'll come up and you can send them an invite to like your page. If you're I find that if you're friends with somebody, they usually will go ahead and do it if you know them. And does anybody have any other examples of how that doesn't work or does work? Have you had good success with it? I would think with your PTA thing, it probably worked really well to get people to find out about the page. Because that's the other thing is, if they know about it and they're interested in it, they usually do want to be involved in it and find out. It's a lot of times they just don't know it exists. But but that's a PTA because that's informing parents. But a regular business page, like if you run one for insurance or something, people are kind of like, well, you know, I don't need that until I need it, you know. So they're not always thinking that way. Which
Sometimes when you're like close to a milestone, like I remember for our Holston Habitat page when we started, it grew slowly. So we were getting close to like 500. And so
500 likes.
And so then we just kind of put some stuff out there, help us hit 500, and then it was like, help us get to 1,000.
How'd that work?
It worked really well, so.
And what did you tell people to do?
To like us, to share the page, to tell your friends, invite them to like us.
Great, but you didn't give them any incentive to do it except just help us get there.
Because we got stay calm and whatever, we stay calm and like us on Facebook.
Cute.
And just kind of threw it out there every time we got close to a milestone.
But it is Habitat, which has a reputable business, and people are like, well, why wouldn't I like Habitat? They're doing good things in the community.
Yeah, we never had to use any incentives. But.
Okay, yeah. And I have had to do incentives before and do little giveaways and things like that, and they actually do work really well if you're I've given things away as simple as like a water bottle, and people have, been, go crazy on it. Now, whether those people stay with the page or they're really interested, I don't know what the quality. I'd say probably not so great. And with the way the analytics are going right now, I find myself, this is terrible, but I find myself liking a page but then turning off notifications for some that I don't want to get it in my news feed. Do other people do that? Am I just evil?
No, a lot of people do that, because I know like on a post page, it'll go up and down and up and down, and I finally pinned a little circle slash, look, you want to be friends, just don't follow us. It's too much content.
Yeah. But you don't put a lot of content out there, do you?
Yeah.
Oh, you do?
Say 5 or 6 posts on that one a day.
A day?
Now, if I'm doing a lot on the Instagram, it'll just double up, and there could be 8.
Wow, that's a lot. Does
So,
it?
as far as businesses go, how often are you all posting? Like, is it
a
once
great
week?
question.
Is it only when you have something happen, like, hey, here's what we talked earlier, here's our quarterly birthday lunch, or is it when something, you have a new product going out, or is it just?
When we posted, if we posted as often as you did, we'd lose.
Yeah.
We lose the market. We found at the wine shop, maybe two posts a week works well for us.
Who doesn't do it, or?
Exactly. And we seem to get more sharing in the posts if we do less frequently, too, which is opposite to, I've been to other seminars here where they say that the exact opposite. They say what you're doing more engaging is the way to go. So,
I'm not going to tell you what is right or what is wrong. I think every business is unique, and it's also dependent upon what you can do. Now, we are doing a Facebook posting class here in May. I don't know the exact date on it, but yeah, we'll get the date on that. But that might be something that maybe you'll be further along on that. And again, May 16th.
Yes, ma'am.
And again, I'm going to just give you some loose guidelines on doing it, because everybody is unique and everybody's different. And I am a firm believer in posting ahead of time. And I'm a firm believer in using a social media calendar. And we'll go into a lot of detail with that. I know you just got like, woo! You can be signing up for that class. And it's mainly for my own sanity, because I do different pages. And so, and I'll just give you a quick example of something that I do, is I'll look at the month of March, for instance. And you're shaking your head, so you do this too. And this is part of sanity. So you look at the month of March. I pull up a calendar, a hard calendar. I have it in front of me. And then I look up online, and I'll go to something like, I know there's, Holiday Insights, for instance. So it will give me, if I'm looking at, we said March, right? It will give me crazy holidays that I don't ever want to post. But what it also does is sometimes will tell me things that could be, so let me circle back around this, because you're under the impression still that you have to post everything about your company too, and that you really don't. So you should do a mix of company posts with a mix of a little bit of personality in there as well. So that's what go ahead.
I interrupted you. We've also gotten really good response. We do what I call like social consciousness posts, where we're trying to promote the town and things.
Oh, I love that.
And our neighbors and things like that.
And you're a wine shop.
Yeah, well, and it doesn't make you look quite as self-serving.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. So if you only post about we're doing this and we're doing this and look how wonderful we are, after a while people are kind of like, all right, whatever, we know you are, and I'm a client, but so I try to mix it up a little bit with things. So not everything is going to be applicable. I mean, obviously you're not going to go in here and do every single thing on here, but it gives you a little bit of So, you know, like if I look at March, and I know March 17th is St. Patrick's Day, and then at the end of this month, we've got Palm Sunday, and then we've got, you know, Good Friday, Pi Day, you know. So you're going to throw in a few things right off the beginning, and then you can fill in with a couple things like this, but then you can do, you know, you can do a Motivational Monday. You can do Wednesday wisdom. You know, you can, with hashtags, which is a whole other thing, but so you can kind of have fun with it. I do a site for a religious organization, and we do Sunday scripture hashtag, and always do a scripture that's in a graphic that's pretty, and that people share those a lot because it's got, you know, they're pretty and they have things around that, and so you go in and you look. These sites like this make it really easy to find things, and also bring you aware of some things that you may have not had any idea. You know, Oscar night is coming up. Let's say maybe you wanted to post some. You know, it may not have anything to do with your company, but you might say, hey, you know, what was your favorite Oscar movie? You don't like people commenting, but you know, if you did want to get some engagement.
I missed National Nap Day last week, and I was pretty.
She posted something really funny actually about that. And say, if you are not friends with Sandy on Facebook, you should, because she's hilarious. But she posted something about, hey, I just found out about this, and it was maybe in the afternoon.
That was in the evening.
It was in the evening, and you said, now I'm finding out about this National Nap Day, and it was somebody like, you know, sleeping, you know, and there were a lot of funny comments. So it brings it from that just stiff business world to seeing a little bit of personality with things. So it's actually okay to, you know, look up things that, I mean, there's Popcorn Lovers Day. You could anybody could probably post about that. I mean, it doesn't matter what your business is. You know, you could do a recipe for popcorn. You could, you know, or plant a flower day. You know, we all need that. But March 12th, I hope nobody planted flowers on that day, in here at least. But, you know, those are the kind of things, you know, we got Earth Day, you know, stuff like that. So this makes it really easy, things like that. And then you can take a platform like Canva or Be Funky. There's a bunch of them out there that you can actually, they will design templates for you, and you can put things in there so that they look very professional. And like for instance, like most of the stuff on this page was designed by Canva. Like this thing right here is,
I love Canva.
yeah. And I have a paid account on Canva, but still not very expensive. I mean, like maybe, honestly, I don't really remember, maybe $120 a year or something like that. But it's easily to justify, because once you go to Canva and you log in, you can upload pictures. It gives you templates. Does anybody else use it besides Sandy and I? Use it? Do you like it?
I only use the free version right now. We haven't invested in the paid version, but I love it because I'm able to create flyers within a day and then get them out at our.
And they look good, don't they?
Yeah, they look professional, and I'm so excited.
Yeah. So if you don't have something like Photoshop, or your Photoshop's very expensive, but not everybody can afford it or have it, but you can always have, here's another one that was designed in Canva. So they actually give you, pretty much everything you need.
National Goof Off Day.
I'm not posting that one at work. After hours only.
Yeah, like here's another one that, so just, you can find things out there that, creating your own is really a really nice way to do it. And it's simple. It really doesn't take that much time, especially when you use your publishing tools and you go in. So when you go to publishing, it shows you all the posts that have already published, and then it shows you your reach on them and people who have clicked. So you can easily go through here and see the ones that, like, well, this one got 12 clicks or 10 clicks or whatever. This one didn't get any, so, that's not good. But, you can go through and you can look, and, this one got a lot right here. So And these are all organic for the most part. I don't think any of these I've boosted. So it's, when you see one that's way off the charts, like this one's got 1,000, that's, people have shared it, they have liked it, you know. So you go in and you look at it and you think, you know, what was special about that one? Well, I know it was special about this one because everybody was promoting the home show for Kingsport. But it's always nice to go in when you post something, like here's one that's really high also. So, you know, you kind of have to look at it and see. Sometimes you'll see that there's a, the type of post that you've done or the day maybe you've posted. This will also show you when you go into your insights what day is popular. Does anybody ever go in there and look at that?
And we've noticed like late in the evening is better time for us to post than.
So when you say late in the evening, you mean like 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock?
So anytime like 5 o'clock or after, like 7, 8, we get a lot of hits on that.
That's interesting.
Because,
And is that for which one?
that's for the PTA page,
Okay.
because kids are in bed and I guess the adults are doing that.
They're having their wine.
With the Habitat page.
They're at the wine shop.
Habitat page, anytime, usually after about 1 or 2 in the afternoon, you get pretty decent traffic, but again, in the morning.
Does anybody else know what their insights are, average for their, you've got so many you probably don't know, do you, Kyle?
They just get confusing after a while.
So do you post at the same time?
No, kind of it depends, like I said, with
What are we doing?
the veteran stuff mostly comes out of the Instagram, and that's the one I'm usually playing with. My business page, I might post on there once a week maybe, so probably why nobody goes there. Most of the other ones are groups or feed off those, like our auxiliary, they started a page.
They did.
They said, hey, come here, do this too.
Yeah, well, once they find out you do it.
So I just shared, I end up sharing something from this group to their page. Or,
Yeah. What about with your church page?
We just, I mean, honestly, it's me putting our events and stuff on there. That's pretty much what we do. And then whoever's there likes and shares it.
Okay.
We don't do any.
Okay.
I find I do my church Facebook page, and I find that we get more hits like early morning, like between 7:15 to 8 o'clock, and it's, either a scripture or a photo, with a message to it that gets hit.
And is that during the week, all week,
Every
or
day.
just
Every day.
every day? So
So we've got the faithful followers, and then they share it, and
I'll show you a page that to give you an idea. And this is actually a faith-based. This is a friend of mine who actually works for the police department in Johnson City, and she wrote a book on bringing God into your city and helping them pave the way. And I do her page for her. So I try to keep it really simple. But one of the things, and you're a writer back there, so you might be interested in this. I actually do book quotes, and I designed. This is actually a quote from her book, and so I do book quotes every so often, and I design it in Canva, and then put the words in there, and then hashtag it book quote with it, so that and then people share that and see it. Then we've got. I should have a Sunday quote on here to show you. So here's Scripture Sunday Scripture, and so on Sundays. In the morning before church, I have something posted that will go, so when people get up and they're having their coffee, they can have a scripture to kind of think about through the day, stuff like that. So those are the kind of things that are kind of easy to do if your organization's in line with that. Obviously yours is. But it's and there's a lot of them out there. Pinterest has a lot of stuff out there too that aren't necessarily copyrighted, so that you can. But the book quote is something I thought about back there with our author, that you might want to pull out a certain book quote, and then, yeah, every once in a while I have a good idea. So,
Really?
few and far between. But that was my original idea on that one. Because I wanted a way for people to kind of see some of the quotes that were in the book, and I didn't just want to put here's a book quote. I wanted to make it graphic and be people to be able to see it. So we're going back to the publishing tools. I know I'm jumping all over, but now we're going to look at the scheduled post. So this is what I was talking about, posting ahead of time. So there's lots of ways to post ahead of time, especially on different media platforms or social media platforms. You can use Hootsuite or something like that, and there's a lot of them out there that you can do all kinds of posting to. But if you really mainly are going to concentrate on Facebook, which is what we're talking about today, you can create your posts ahead of time and schedule a day and a time for them to go out. So for instance, you could sit down in one afternoon and probably knock out all of March, for instance, ahead of
That's what I
time.
do. I do a whole month's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
6 months in advance.
Yeah.
Yes, so you can sit down and look at every holiday coming up, and go ahead and schedule it out like 6 months in advance.
Yeah. And isn't it a time saver?
Oh my God,
for-
it's amazing.
I feel so
It
very
is
new.
amazing.
That's okay. That's what we
It takes
like.
the pressure off of you, because
Yeah.
if you're the one that's doing the majority of it, you have to continue that, connecting with your followers, and if you're not putting anything that's been 3 or 4 weeks, outside out of mind, but if you can have something depending on the frequency, and you just go ahead and schedule all that, and you can knock that out.
And you
Yeah.
that you know for sure, just go ahead and do it.
If you're gonna be busy, it's great, like, Veterans Day week, Memorial Day week, I just schedule all, so it'll change a little bit each day, but it'll keep that clean. And I don't have to worry about it, because I won't touch a computer
Right,
for the
because
week.
you're going to be really busy that week. So that's a really good point for being able to. So that'll take all that pressure off from you. And if your company, if you're trying to justify this with them, comes and said this is going to be so much work for you, you can say, hey, I can knock this out, and so this is all like. I mean, it is time consuming, don't get me wrong, and I think everybody in this room would agree who runs a page or two, but doing as much ahead of time is like, like if I can sit down and take a couple hours and knock out a whole month, I feel so much better. So these are posts that will be posted, and you can see I do morning posts on this one because we find that kind of works better. But, I've got things like Monday motivation and things like that just kind of thrown in here. And then we have some ads every so often. But a lot of the stuff is just kind of fun and hey, we're fun too, kind of thing. So that's where you'll have to determine what your company mission and what, yeah. And that can be tricky. But you'll learn pretty quickly what. So it's super easy to do this. You just hit create, and then you put your post out there, and then this is where you schedule it. And you can go 6 months out if you want on something. So it makes your life a whole lot easier. You schedule the time and the day. It's so easy.
You can go and edit it, so if
Oh,
you
yeah.
decide,
You can also do it from the main post, at least on a couple
Yeah.
lines.
Oh, you can. There's probably a half a dozen ways to do everything I'm showing you how to do. These are not the only ways, but this is like, the way that you'll find other ways as you get discovering this. But I like the fact. Did you just say that you can edit it?
you can. So
Yeah.
if you decide, I don't want to use that graphic, I want to change it, or I found a typo in it, you can just click on
Yeah.
it, and it'll pop up, and then in the bottom corner it'll say edit or reschedule, so you can change the date and time if you want. Or you
Yes.
can click edit and go and just rewrite it, or.
Well, and this is another thing to keep in mind. So when you post ahead of time, it's wonderful, but you also have to be mindful of things that are going on with the news and things too. So if you posted something and then all of a sudden something, I mean, I can't think of anything right now, but I know I've had things like this happen in the past where I've had to actually go and delete a post before it got posted because it might have not been appropriate for the timing of something. And I can't remember what it was. Do you have an example?
Example, it wasn't in the Facebook post, it was in the newspaper. One of the high schools up in Lee County, I think, was doing a raffle, and it was right after the shooting of the school shooting in Florida. They were raffling off some type of a gun for a fundraiser, and it just hit timing-wise poorly and
Yeah.
made the news and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
you know,
so that's a good
something like that.
example. If somebody was running a Facebook page and they were giving away a assault weapon and then that just happened, it just might not be a timely message to send out. So, so you have to be mindful of, and so there, you have to kind of be aware of what you're scheduled out of. And I have woken up in the middle of the night, I'm not kidding you, and gone, oh, that probably needs to be rescheduled, or it's not that it wasn't appropriate, it was just maybe the timing isn't necessarily good on something. And but I like the fact that you can still go in there and manipulate it. And the other thing that's nice, so once you posted it and it's published, it becomes part of like your library. So if you wanted to post it again, you could go in and find it again and repost it. So it's nice once you've kind of got it, which is nice. Anybody have any more to add about posting? And
Just one follow-up. If you post something, that's great, but I think looking back at your followers, when you've been unfollowed, and see when you've been unfollowed, and then go back and look at your post at that same time slot, then maybe you put something out there that just
offended
taken
them?
the wrong way or whatever. That it just is a nice to kind of do a little investigation of why you were unfollowed and what was going on there.
And it may not be that deep.
No,
It could be me and I'm just unfollowing people
Yeah.
because I'm getting sick of all the stuff coming up in my news feed. But you know, it doesn't mean I unliked you. It means that I just with the way things are going right now, I'm just seeing the same stuff in my posts, and it seems like I'm seeing a lot more pages that I've liked and less people that I like. Does that make sense? And but I do know
But
around.
nobody in the room is one of those that she don't.
Well, no. No, she's right. She's right. But here's your page summary. So it gives you your results for like a week of the actions on your page and your previews and your likes and things like that. So this is really helpful. And if you do have to justify it with anyone, you can always do everybody has to justify everything. So I'm not just picking on you. But you can always do once a month or something, do a meeting and pull this page up and say, hey, look at this, and you know.
I'm sure I will be.
Yeah, you will be. For sure you will be.
Hey Cindy, on that point, let me ask you a question, because I had this happen to me yesterday.
Uh-oh.
I had a client send me an email, and we're doing a month-to-month sponsorship of one of my shows that I live stream. And he wasn't sure if he wanted to continue doing it because he's not sure. This was an exact quote. I've had nobody come into the dealership saying they've seen my commercials. And it was all I could do to say, well, has anybody come in and say they've heard your radio commercial? Or has anybody seen your TV commercial? So how do you respond to something like that? I've got proof here, like you were saying.
Did you show it to him?
Yes, I sent him screenshots, and he's going to continue on sponsorship.
Well, there's the proof right there that the word's getting out there. You can't make someone buy.
Right.
Timing is everything. But you could ask him and say, well, you know, when you are ready to run some kind of a special, we could promote that, and they could bring that code in.
Right, see, that's where...
Maybe not for a discount on a car, but maybe they'll get a free T-shirt or a mug or
free oil
something.
change, because it's a car dealership. And that's the only, if he wants that kind of hard evidence, you got to have some kind of a call to action like that.
And you're
Absolutely.
incentivizing that response.
Right.
Yeah, and they may never buy a car, but they may think they'll probably, most likely they would think of you or refer someone. That you can't really, you know, track that as well, but that goes back on them too. If that call to action happens and they come in and say, you know, I'm test driving this, or I'm getting a free oil change or whatever,
Right.
you know, here's my code, I got this from. They've got to track it somehow there at the dealership.
Right.
But, and you may have to provide that to them, maybe a spreadsheet or something for them, anybody who comes in, you know, to write it down or
Right.
something.
Right.
It's all hard, and everybody wants it, you know, everybody wants to know, are my advertising dollars being well spent? Which, if you advertise on Facebook, I was just going to show you these posts. If I wanted to boost a post, you can promote. Does anybody boost posts in here? Do you get good results? Average, yeah.
What Maurice the thing I don't like is like the Facebook police or whoever they are. Because if you do go to boost one and then something comes up and they keep telling you you want to boost, and you decide not to boost, then it seems like that gets buried. Like nobody sees that. And so when that happens, I've got like 15 people I call and I say, take my post from the wine shop, share it, please, so we'll get some exposure. You know what I mean? It's almost like, and I know in theory they probably don't do that, but you get that feeling like they're punishing you for not
Yeah, I get, yeah, it comes to the bottom, because that's their way of getting money, obviously. So, I do agree with you that once you boost a post, that Facebook comes back at you constantly, and they'll design something and say, hey, do you want to boost this? And I've clicked on things even by accident, and then gone, oh, I didn't need to boost that, and I didn't do anything, but it was, you do have to be careful of that, and like Sandy said, they just, obviously they want the money. They're not in it, as much as we'd like to see, hey, that it's free.
And it's cheap. I mean, it's cheap dollars for advertising.
It is. I mean, you can boost a post for, $10, $20, and you can watch and see the reach on it, and when you boost it, you can actually put in demographics, and it goes, it's very in detail what you can do. But again, I don't know if that's ever going to turn into customers or clients or, whatever, and that's hard to say. Maybe at the wine shop you've had some people who actually came in and said, I saw your post on Facebook.
Sometimes and sometimes not, but it's boosted our likes. I mean, it's boosted our
Yeah,
likes.
on your page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we get.
And for not a lot of money.
No, for not a lot.
Well, and the key is if you're seeing that it's getting the reach and people are engaging, you know that it's getting noticed. If you do an ad in the newspaper or a radio ad, you don't have that.
Exactly.
Right.
And Tim, back to what you were saying for that client, I think every time that I send him a bill or every month, I just do a screen capture and show him the insights.
That's a good
That
idea.
way you're motivating him, because the other folks that he's advertising with probably does not have that.
I like
those
that.
Yeah, that's a
stats.
good idea.
And that puts you up in a little higher bracket of credibility than the others.
And we have to justify. Let's face it, when you're a marketing person, you have to justify a lot, unless you work for yourself. But even then, you have to say, well, does it justify me boosting this post, or is this worth this, or,
So one of my things, the reason I brought this conversation to the table at my work was, it cost me $700 to run an ad for 3 days in the newspaper.
Exactly.
Nobody's reading the newspaper. Nobody reads it online. Nobody reads it in print anymore, but everybody reads Facebook. So, I mean, just by boosting a post, if it's $20 or $25, I could save a ton with just my advertisement of open positions.
Well, and you could run a little test if you wanted to. You could actually put some type of code or coupon or something in the newspaper and see, what your return is, and do the same thing on Facebook, and then kind of judge it and see.
Or the email address that they respond to, make a different one.
Mm-hmm.
And, if it's a Google or whatever.
But with your company, I don't know if that would work, but you might be able to do, if you were doing an event where people were invited, you could say, bring this by, or mention this code, and have 2 different codes for a free mug or something. So if you were at a trade show or something, that'd be a great way to promote it. Which I always love to do that at like trade shows, to see how many people are actually. I was really surprised one time when I did it, where somebody was kind of challenging me, and we did it, and I was so surprised at how many people actually came by with that code. And I was like, ooh, okay, it works. so just.
Newspaper offer you enhancement to your ad by posting on their social media?
So, I usually do the package deal, and it goes with like Monster and Indeed and all
That's
that.
using the same tools you're already talking about.
Yes.
Are you talking about for a job?
I don't.
For employment?
Yeah, like here's our open positions, we're currently hiring for this. I've got 500 employees, right? But
Wow.
I'm looking for 25 positions, and here they are. So, and then my return is almost zero.
I still think Facebook, I mean, I've seen folks
Yeah.
put one post up and they find someone.
I can share it on my personal page, right? Hey, I've got these open positions, so if you know anybody, please share. And I'll have 4 or 5 people instantly message me and say, hey, where do I get an application? Well, we don't have an online one of those yet,
Mhm.
but we're working on that.
You're
too.
working on it.
I think all the traditional media have gotten into offering an add-on of social media with the traditional media combined, but I don't know necessarily has the impact.
Yeah.
If it does, I've not been able to track it at all.
And you put those posts on LinkedIn, you have a LinkedIn?
I do. Currently, I'm only hiring for upper level positions on using my LinkedIn page because my recruiter seat only allows me 3 job slots
Per what?
per month.
Per month.
I can only post 3 jobs per month.
Interesting.
And I did see a job application here under publishing tools. Has anybody ever used that?
Yeah, I did it for the post just to see how it worked. So I put like, you know, VFW post member kind of thing. And so I get all the jobs that are posted in the area, which sometimes is interesting. I'm sure.
So you can create it in here, and then people can respond through Facebook. So ironically, the one that I just pulled up, which I took it off because it had people's real names on there, we had asked for people not to apply through Facebook. And it was, you know, apply only to this email address, because part of it, this was kind of an upper management position, and part of it was we want people to follow directions, we want to, you know, want to make sure they're reading, and we must have got 20 applications through Facebook, and we didn't even look at any of them, because it was like, they can't follow directions, you know, so, but that's not to say, like, if it had been an appropriate job, then it would have been great to do that. I mean, we did look at them, don't get me wrong, but every single one of them were not, you know, in the category. So now with this particular position, we're doing an ad on Facebook, on LinkedIn for the job and paying for it. And we're getting better results for it. Any other questions before we wrap up? I think you guys are all doing a good job, and the ones who aren't on here yet will understand it a little bit better, I hope. They, for justification and everything else. And then we're doing the posting. We're going to do an in-depth class on posting. So we'll go into this, and we'll go into some of the graphic design. We'll go into when you post. We're doing that on May 16th. So I don't think it'll snow that day. So if it does, if it does, we're all moving like somewhere else, right? But anyway, thank y'all for being here, and especially coming out on such a cold day. And if you have any questions, you can see me afterwards too.
Everybody, how about a hand for
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. I just want to do a plug for next week. Our friend Tim Flanagan will be here doing one on streaming and video content, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And so I hope you can join us. If you're not using video to market and also put them on your social media, you're missing. I get lots more hits when I'm putting video content on my social platforms than just words. So thanks again, Cindy, for coming.
Oh, you're welcome.
And for those that's your first time, welcome. Hope you'll come back again. Thanks.
How do I get on the email list? That was forward.
So Tim, there's one you're doing next week.
Yes.
So are you going to teach people that anybody can